miles away from the point where this pursuit began. So it just really goes to show you this guy's intent. He has no signs, no intentions of giving up at this point.
Yeah, and you know, I think most people who are watching this right now, and we say this to ourselves when we cover these sort of things, is why someone would do this. You're not going to get away. There's 2 helicopters overhead, multiple police officers behind you, and that's the thing. What somebody's thinking when they get behind the wheel, they steal a vehicle. Now, grand theft auto, this suspect wanted for at this point, and we hope at some point comes to his senses and stops this whole thing before anybody gets hurt, and that's always the concern. This has been on the freeway for some time. Mark was caught up with this truck when it was on side streets, and you know, much more dangerous when you're blowing through red lights and you're not stopping at a stop sign when pedestrians are crossing the street, and we've seen that so many times where it's come so close. And the other thing that's, I would imagine, difficult for officers, you really can't do a whole lot of maneuvering when you're on the freeway and you're going at such a high rate of speed. As Mark was saying, when we see these pursuits on side streets, police can get ahead of it. They know possibly where this car's headed. They can go to the next stoplight, or they can, you know, make a right-hand turn and get ahead of this. But when you see a situation on the freeway going 70, 80 plus miles an hour, really what officers can do is just trail behind and hope that this guy at some point stops or runs out of gas. And of course, 2 helicopters overhead, as Mark mentioned. LA County and Anaheim are above, so they've got an eye on this guy for sure. Mark.
They sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, they sure do. Now we're talking about a 3rd law enforcement helicopter joining the fracas here. We're talking about the CHP now going to be getting involved in the scene here. So this is going to be a little bit more intense here as we kind of follow this guy. He is now eastbound on the 60. Just to give you the location here, he is about a mile and a half to 2 miles from the 215 interchange. So you can imagine how far this guy has taken us here. A stolen truck, a stolen United Rentals stake bed truck is what this guy, you know, is driving at this point. Stolen out of Whittier and stolen just a few minutes ago. Probably coming up on about 45 minutes at this point. But what is this guy thinking? You know, pull off the freeway, give up, come on. But again, he is just kind of traveling at a very high rate of speed, as we have been indicating here in the fast lane. Not much in the way of traffic ahead as we look up towards the 215 interchange to the 215 and the 60, where he is now approaching. He is going to have an option to stay on the 60 and move farther into the Inland Empire, or move north or southbound along the 215. We'll see what he chooses to do, but boy, this guy is just kind of taking us on a long ride here, and it doesn't show. He doesn't show just any signs of giving up at this point. Now there it is. There's the guy. It's just one person in there, one person in that truck. No passengers, no additional suspects, but this guy is going to be wanted for a whole slew of violations, moving violations in this truck. Not, you know, not the least of which is going to be the stolen vehicle itself. So here we are coming up on the 215 interchange. It looks like he does not. It doesn't look like he's kind of making motions to move over to the transition here, so it looks like he may be staying on the eastbound side of the 60.
Yeah, we've mentioned a couple of times, not making
Chris,
too many changes,
cool.
Just continuing on this path, eastbound 60. The traffic, not an issue for this truck. It's continued going at very high rates of speed. It's been in the carpool lane for a time, although now shifting over a couple of lanes here. We're going to see if this truck decides to get off, Mark, and it looks like he's making some moves here. What's up ahead?
You know what? It looks like he may be getting on to this 215 freeway, Jessica. So you saw at the very last minute this guy, switched over, crossed all lanes of traffic into the slow lane, and now he is kind of making his way onto the transition road to the northbound side of the 215 freeway. So wow, there you go. There's a change of pace here for you. He's actually changed freeways again, and is now going to be 215 freeway northbound. So coming out of the Riverside, area, we will continue to follow. Again, he kind of takes up his position. He's kind of posting up. Gotcha. He's kind of posting up on that left. Lane, just traveling, evading all officers at this point. Now I'm just kind of having a look here. It looks like about 3 to 4 officers who are kind of loosely, no, maybe more than that, maybe about half a dozen officers who are basically loosely trailing this guy, loosely following him. The first 2 units, of course, are right behind him, but there are at least 3 to 4 who are additionally behind them, but keeping a longer keeping their distance, in other words. So moving northbound on the 215 freeway, here we go, making our way up towards the 10 freeway over the course of the next, say, 5 miles or so. Now looking at conditions on the 215 freeway, they kind of resemble the situation on the 60 that we've been following all the way out here. Very light. He is going to be able to make his way through traffic should he decide to. Traffic very light at this point, northbound as well as southbound. So yeah, just a weird situation here. What is this guy going to do? Is there no rhyme or reason to, what he is doing here? Does he know this particular area? It looks like he wants to get off the freeway again. And, well, there we go. We'll try and get an off-ramp here for you. But it looks like he is basically exiting the freeway. We'll try and get an exit for you. But does that mean he's going to stop? Well, maybe not necessarily, because now he is still kind of moving southbound. And it doesn't look like he intends to slow down to stop. But he's only slowed down to maneuver and kind of make his way into this residential area. So does this guy know this area? We just don't know at this point. We have seen this many times before, where they do kind of move back into an area of familiarity, so that certainly might be a possibility. But for the moment, this guy has gotten off the 215 freeway, and he is on Iowa, and he is just now moving southbound. I've got you there, Chris. And just now moving southbound, again, showing no signs of slowing, at least not slowing down to stop for officers at this point.
Okay, Mark, we appreciate that. Again, this vehicle really went for at least 30 minutes on the 60 freeway, not making much in the way of moves. Now all of a sudden we see this truck get off the 215 freeway, did a U-turn in the middle of an intersection, and now is being very reckless. And when we saw this person on the freeway really abiding pretty much by the rules of the road on the freeway, going, of course, faster than most cars on the freeway, but not swerving around, not making too many fast changes there. And now seems to be a lot more reckless, and this becomes a whole lot more dangerous when you start to see a truck moving this fast, doing U-turns in the middle of an intersection, swerving in front of other vehicles, going through red lights. This is when things get really dangerous for innocent people, Mark, that don't know a guy like this is coming.
Yeah, you know what, eastbound center from Iowa, and it looks like he's making preparations to potentially put himself in a position where he can get back on the freeway. And Jessica, you kind of alluded to it. This vehicle, driving a little bit more recklessly as he makes his way. Oh my gosh, wait. He is going onto a freeway off-ramp. So that's the freeway off-ramp to the 215 north. He is now going opposite traffic here. So now he's going wrong way on the 215 freeway. You see him. Oh my gosh, this is going to be very dangerous, guys. We're talking about the 215 freeway northbound. This guy is now traveling southbound in the slow lane. So we have not seen this for a while, but look at this guy. What is going through his mind? He is now traveling the wrong way on the 215 freeway, northbound on the 215 freeway, traveling southbound over towards the 60 from where he came. And now the truck is stopping. Maybe he realizes the danger here, but now the truck is stopping, and it looks like he's getting out. He's going to try and climb the fence here and still evade officers. So now, what is he going to do? He was on the fence, and now he's back in the truck. Is he going to start moving again? He sure is. My goodness, you're seeing this, Jessica, just as we are here, traveling in the wrong lanes of traffic here, northbound on the 215 freeway. He is traveling southbound against traffic, and as he makes his way southbound on that right shoulder, he is going to be coming up to an area where he might be actually, he's going to make a U-turn, and now he's going to be northbound on the 215 freeway. So look at this, my goodness. And thanks to the efforts of the California Highway Patrol, who actually ran a traffic brake, allowing this guy the room to actually do what he just did. So now he has just turned around on the northbound side of the 215 freeway. He was traveling southbound in the wrong lanes of traffic, and now he has rejoined traffic going the right way on the northbound side of the 215, coming away from the 60. Wow, just an incredible situation here. This guy refuses to give up. We thought for a couple of moments that this guy might actually give up. He actually pulled to the right shoulder there. He got out of the truck. He was climbing the fence, and then he realized that maybe the cops were a little bit too close behind him, so he got back into the truck, and now maybe he is just trying to get himself into a situation where he might be able to create some distance, create some space between he and the police, so he might actually be able to foot bail and get away. Not the case. We have several helicopters overhead. We have an officer directly behind him. In fact, 3 helicopters directly behind him, and he has just gotten off the freeway, and it looked like he's going to be on a frontage road paralleling the northbound side of the 215 freeway, just on the east side. So again, officers are behind him, right behind him in fact, and so this guy will hopefully not be able to get away. We saw him just making motions to do that as he pulled over on the side of the freeway going the wrong way, but wow. This guy is just doing anything he can to not be captured. You know, seemingly so. You know, generally in a situation where they kind of back off and let it go, they might know who the person is, they might know where they live, but this is a stolen vehicle suspect. This vehicle is a stolen vehicle. They don't necessarily know who this person is. You know, this is a vehicle that they should be able to track seemingly, given the circumstances. This is a very difficult vehicle to drive. It's very big, but at the same time, you know, especially driving on surface streets, a big vehicle like this poses a danger if he is driving erratically, and especially at high rates of speed. We saw earlier as he was driving on surface streets, he was driving in the wrong lanes of traffic, and now he is, yeah. Okay, so, wow.
Pit maneuver
okay,
there, right there, Mark.
Yeah, they just tried the pit maneuver. Okay.
And hit someone.
So you saw that exchange that they did attempt a pit maneuver. He did crash with an additional vehicle here, but he is still able to get away. He has basically taken the 215 now back on the freeway southbound. So southbound 215 from Washington is where we are, leaving the Grand Terrace area, but in Grand Central or Grand Terrace proper. Again, moving southbound on the 215. So does this guy know where he is? We just don't know at this point. Is it just a random section of freeway that he is basically negotiating at this point? But we did see that pit maneuver being attempted by that officer there, but he was able to get away, and there was an accident that resulted from it, but he is still able to lead officers on this pursuit against southbound on the 215 freeway from Washington.
Mark, in your experience with working and talking to CHP officers when they do this pit maneuver, is it an extra challenge when you have a vehicle like this? I mean, obviously this is not a typical passenger vehicle. We're talking about a fairly sizable truck.
Yeah, and we're talking about a heavy gross weight truck here. We don't know the poundage of it, but yeah, this is going to be increasingly difficult to get into a situation where they can actually pit him effectively here. They're probably not going to try and pit him on the freeway. The speeds are just too high, but you saw that as soon as he got off the freeway, as soon as an officer got into position to pit him, they took advantage of it, because this guy is not giving us too many situations where they will be able to pit him. So as soon as they get off the freeway, as soon as his speed slowed down, as soon as he's on residential or basically surface streets, they are looking like they are going to try and pit him. Unfortunately, that last one, the first one they have attempted, was not successful, and this guy was able to get away, but not without having caused an accident in the meantime. But again, this guy is now traveling southbound on the 215 freeway from Washington, coming back over towards the 60 freeway. He's kind of been running this section of the freeway for, say, the past 10 minutes or so, this section of the 215 between the 60 and the 10 freeways here in the Inland Empire, coming out of Grand Terrace, southbound on the 215. He is being pursued by California Highway Patrol. You see that motor officer there as well. A very big vehicle, that basically a stake bed truck, which is empty at this point. A grand theft auto suspect out of the Whittier area. This going on for the better part of 45 minutes, maybe ongoing an hour at this point. This guy showing no signs of giving up. You know, in fact, doing whatever he can. Stop it again. Or slowing down. Okay, it looks like he was getting ready to stop, at the very least slow down, but he has kind of resumed his pace, and he is now picking up speed again southbound on the 215 freeway. This, you know, coincidentally, is the area where he kind of pulled over before, albeit on the other side of the freeway on the northbound lanes. He is now on the southbound side of the 215 freeway. It looks like he was kind of making a gesture to get off the freeway there, but he is going to stay. Well, is he going to get off the freeway here? Yeah, it looks like he's trying to get off the freeway here. We'll try and get the exit, but he is getting off the freeway, and this is kind of where he was earlier, and albeit again on the north side of the 215 freeway, but he has gotten off the freeway southbound on the 215, and he is just kind of making his way around surface streets. Is this going to be an opportunity for officers to pit this guy? Well, given the right circumstances, you bet. So as we saw just a couple of minutes ago, oh my gosh, narrowly avoiding cross traffic as he just got off the freeway there. So he is now coming eastbound on the main street here, just about to cross over the 215 freeway. Now the closest pursuing, no, they're not. So he is going to be able to get back on the 215 freeway southbound once again. He is just kind of working this area just south of Grand Terrace, the 215 freeway, both north and southbound, say between Washington and the 60 freeway. So he is now again southbound, again on the 215 freeway, making his way towards the 60 now. Looking ahead, unfortunately for him, and we certainly hope so anyways, that there is some slower traffic, not the free-flowing traffic that he had been experiencing a few minutes ago. So there is a little bit slower traffic, but just kind of looking ahead, it looks like he might be able to get through this without too much problem, but hopefully he kind of sets himself up to put himself in a predictable pattern where they might be able to, you know, get ahead of him and maybe spike strip him at the very least.
Wow. So much going on there, and now he's crossing multiple lanes of the freeway. Very dangerous maneuvers going on, and
he may be getting off here. He may be getting off.
Yeah, it looks like he's on the off-ramp once again, Mark.
Okay, yeah, he's on that off-ramp once again, and so now he's kind of making that loop. Now he's making the loop. He might make a left turn here and make another left turn and get across the 215 freeway. That's what we saw him doing, so that familiar pattern that he is basically setting up for not only him but law enforcement officers who might be able to get ahead of the game at this point. If he makes a left turn and crosses over the 215 freeway, that is exactly what he had done last time, and so again, setting himself up in that familiar pattern where they might be able to get ahead of him and spike him, but he is going to be crossing over the 215 freeway and perhaps going straight or making a left turn. If he kind of does what he did last time, he's going to make a left turn here, and that is certainly what he is doing. He's going to be coming up on some cross traffic and some traffic exiting the 215 freeway northbound, and again, he this time he's going to change it up and he's going to get back on the 215 freeway. So there it is, the on-ramp to the 215 freeway northbound, and that's what he's doing. He's just kind of taking us around in circles, you know, just kind of like a merry-go-round at this point. Officers in trail of him. At least half a dozen units, from what I can tell. He has re-entered the freeway, the 215 northbound at this point.
There's also 3 law enforcement helicopters overhead, CHP, LA County, and Anaheim as well overhead. And you would wonder that there's some familiarity possibly with the suspect in this area of the 215 through Grand Terrace, why he continues to get off and on the freeways. And this could just be a coincidence. This is a United rental vehicle that is stolen, and he drove past the United rental on one of those exits. But
there are a couple of folks standing outside. You don't know if they're related or just wanting to see one of their vehicles, but they were in fact looking out to see one of their branded trucks go right by them. Yeah,
but this, we believe, started in Whittier, and that's when we first got on it in that area, and it's been through Bray on the 57th freeway, through Phillips Ranch, Chino, Ontario, Riverside County. So it's been about an hour now that we've been following this suspect.
Mark, we've talked about the spiked strip, but there are some challenges with that. One, obviously, you need to know where this suspect is going and have an officer stationed there. Two, that officer needs to have a spike strip. And then talk about the actual physical act of putting down that spike strip and making sure that the officer isn't injured in the process.
At the side, so coming up on the bottom of the transition road, there he goes. It's looking like he wants to transition over to the 210 freeway. Let's kind of follow this through. He still can. And now it looks like he's more or less committed to the 210 freeway. Is it going to be east or west? I'll let you know in just the course of the next several seconds here. It looks to me like he's going to lock himself into the westbound side of the 210 freeway. So coming out of the San Bernardino area, he will be west on the 210 freeway. He's just coming up onto that flyover, that interchange of the 210 and the 215. Okay, no problem. And he is now going to be coming in towards, out of San Bernardino at this point. Again, 210 freeway westbound now. Again, I'm just kind of looking at the traffic patterns. I've been doing that for the better part of the pursuit here, looking at the traffic patterns ahead of him. And the 210 freeway at this point being very lightly traveled as we head in towards the Rialto area, excuse me, guys. And he is just going to be able to kind of mosey along here, and he's just kind of giving us signs that he is just not going to give up. I mean, is this going to be a situation where we track this guy until he literally runs out of gas and at that point is forced to give up? So we'll kind of follow this through and see what this guy chooses to do. He shows no signs of giving up, no signs of wanting to give up at this point. No opportunity to pit at this point or even spike strip because he is, again, traveling on the 210 freeway at a fairly high rate of speed with kind of traffic in the general vicinity here. So again, we will kind of follow this through. He has just made his way over to the 210 freeway, again west from the 215, coming out of San Bernardino and in towards Rialto.
Okay, if you are just joining us, we are headed to the top of the hour here, 1 o'clock, 12:59 to be exact. We've been following breaking news in San Bernardino where there's been a police pursuit after this stolen truck here. It's been going on for about an hour and 20 minutes. Good afternoon to you. This is the KTLA 5 News at 1. I'm Jessica Holmes.
And I'm Frank Buckley in for Glenn Walker. This chase started in Whittier. It moved into the Inland Empire. We've been following it now, this erratic behavior. Oh, he's just crashed into the side.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And he's going over the edge.
Oh, my gosh. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow. Okay, you just saw it. He just went over the side. My gosh. Okay, so there is just a lot of damage to the vehicle. The freeway at this point is going to come to a stop seemingly here, but officers are going to approach, but very cautiously. They don't see any movement at this point. I don't see any movement. Is the driver going to be okay? Is he basically mobile, ambulatory? Is he going to be able to get out of this vehicle as per the instructions of the CHP officers when they get on scene?
Mark, you can see on the driver's side either he is moving or the door is he attempts to be moving the door to try to get out. Okay. You can see his body, or is that an airbag there? I can't really tell.
It's hard to tell at this point, guys. I'm going to try and maneuver Sky 5 into a position where we might be able to see a little bit more, get a little bit better visibility here. But yeah, wow, just an amazing crash as you just saw here, westbound side of the 215. We are just going to maneuver around, and we're going to continue around to see if we can...
Some movement inside that cab. It's hard to know precisely what's happening. It looked for a moment as if the person was trying to move that, what appears to be an airbag there at the bottom of the screen, that white thing, as if to try to push it out of the way, to kick out. But it's impossible really to know, because it's hard to make out precisely what's happening in there. People may be wondering, why aren't the officers rushing that truck as we often see them do? And now there's movement at the top of the cab.
Yeah, we sure see that.
And here we go, Mark.
He's going to be climbing.
What's happening?
Yeah, well, you're seeing it just as we are here in real time. The suspect, the lone occupant of the vehicle, basically making efforts to climb out of that vehicle. The vehicle obviously ending up on the driver's side, overturning onto its side as he flew off the freeway here. It looks like he's making efforts to try and climb out of the vehicle. He may or may not be successful here as he's gone back into it. We just saw him with both arms outstretched, trying to kind of help himself up, but he might perhaps have injury. He might be stuck in some way. We just don't know, but he is definitely putting himself in a position where he might be able to try and get himself out of the vehicle, and that is going to be the best situation for officers here, because as he does climb out there, we're going to be able to see his hands. Both hands are going to know what he's doing at all times, and he is going to be in a position of vulnerability where Mark, the officers can certainly do whatever they need. Go ahead, Frank.
Mark, to that point, we have Officer Travis Monks from CHP on the line with us. Officer Monks, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So you're hopefully seeing what we're seeing. We see the suspect trying to climb out of the cab of this truck. What are your officers going to do now at this point?
Well, right now, since he is off the freeway and the safety of the public is our #1 concern, we're gonna use time, and we're gonna use time to our advantage on this one. Felony stop proceedings are in place. Probably gonna wait for a K9 to come. That way we can safely approach. As you can see, he is crawling out.
Yep.
If he complies with all our commands, he'll be taken into custody without any further incident.
Okay, and then his hands are now up in the air. And, officer, you can lead us through what CHP officers are saying to this guy at this point.
At this point, we're telling him to get his hands up, to turn around, get down on the ground.
Gotcha, DB, thanks.
At which time we're going to tell him to, as we approach, we're going to do so safely, and then take him into custody.
So in this case, they're asking, it looks like they may actually be asking him to come up to the freeway itself. They are making sure they're keeping a safe distance. There's no crossfire between the officers if they need to fire on him. And he now does finally seem to be complying. He's turned around. He's got his hands locked behind his head. He is on his knees, and he is complying with the orders. It is remarkable, given what happened to his truck, the fact that he went flying off that freeway at considerable speed, turned over to the side, and then was able to come out. Now, we see other officers, as this suspect is being handcuffed, Officer Monks, that you see the other officers training their weapons on the cab of the truck. I'm assuming that they either believe someone is in there or they simply aren't sure, so to be safe, they are going to approach with guns drawn.
Absolutely. Like every situation, we never know exactly what's going on. So until one of us go up there and actually physically sees that vehicle is cleared and there is no other occupants, we're going to maintain a level of safety and heightened security when it comes to that.
Officer, I'm also wondering, we know very little about how this all started or why it started. We do know that this individual is wanted for grand theft auto. Is there anything else you can tell us?
That's the information I've received from Whittier Police Department. This has been a multi-agency pursuit. It has gone from Los Angeles County to Riverside County and to San Bernardino County. We work very well with all allied agencies, passing and sharing information. So we're glad to see that this incident came to an end.
And you see the officer waving his left hand. It looks like they're putting up, at least in what LAPD would be a code 4. I don't know if it's the same for the CHP, but indicating that it's an all clear.
Correct. That's a universal code sign among law enforcement.
And what kind of charges is this guy looking at? We've seen so much from grand theft auto to a hit and run. What sort of things is he facing?
Absolutely. You know, I can't comment on what charges that he will be facing. I will tell you that, you know, evading any police officer, that comes with the charge. Driving in a manner that he was driving, putting other people's lives at danger, being evasive, that's going to be an additional charge.
And obviously we can't convict someone, but given what we saw him causing collisions, we can only hope that the other motorists who were involved, and they did seem to be minor collisions, that they're okay. Do you have any information on that?
You know, I don't have any information on that at this time.